What's up, everybody? This is Chris Kane here with the Unofficial Therapy Podcast. I'm here with my girl, Michelle, today. Michelle, say hey to the people.
Hey, people. What's up?
So Michelle doesn't have a specific issue, which makes her a difficult podcast person, but we're going to figure it out. Michelle is single, and we're going to try to review her dating history and her current state of affairs to figure out why she can't find a man. Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Damn, I can find a man.
Okay, tell the people. Don't tell me.
I can find a man. I just haven't found the right one.
Okay.
Right now.
What are you looking for in a man, Michelle?
He has to be ambitious for sure. He needs to be attractive. And my list is gonna go. So this is a difficult thing to just let stop.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
He needs to be family oriented too. Compassionate and aware of what's going on.
Aware of what's going on, in the world, or with his family?
World,
okay.
With people, care about other people. But he needs to be fun, well-rounded. There's a long list here.
What's your visual requirements? I know you have a checklist on how they look.
Probably athletic and just a nice face, good smile. Taller than me, but probably closer to 6. What else?
No, this is your list. Don't ask me what else. We're trying to figure out exactly what this checklist.
He needs to dress well. I think that's important.
Like suited and booted, like the ties and that kind of thing, or just match?
He can also have his own he can have his own style too, but he has to have some swag. Some confidence. That should carry out in his speech, in his dress, the way he carries himself.
So if a guy's like, hey, Michelle,
yeah,
you're cute. You're like, it's gonna be a no. It's gonna be a no.
Thank you, bye.
Okay, bye. And then you walk off.
That's it.
What? You said that's it. That wasn't a lot of stuff. That was a scroll worth of information. Okay, so of those things that you mentioned, what's your deal breakers if they don't have them? Because let's be real, you just named 20 things, right? So the idea that they're going to hit all 20 on the head is unreasonable. So of those 20, what can you be all right, he don't got to be that swagged out, or what is it that you can live without?
Okay, well, we live in a visual world, so I'm going to say if I'm not initially attracted to him, to his confidence or his appearance, then I probably won't ever figure out if he's ambitious or if he's family oriented or if he's compassionate.
So you
I
saying...
can say I'm superficial
I was
in
gonna
that
say,
sense.
it sounds like some shallow shit. If I look at you and be like, nah, then I don't care if you're like, I got a Fortune 500 company. Yeah, but I'm just not feeling the
But I'm not blind.
Well, no one is. Well, some people are, but...
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I meet people through my interactions, maybe online dating, which I don't really do.
So you say you don't really do, which means you've tried it.
Well, I'm on Bumble right now.
Oh, jeez.
But I literally have not gone out with anyone on Bumble.
Is it because their profile... Well, I never done online dating thing at all, so I don't know how all of it works exactly. I imagine they have to have a profile where they set up who they are, and then that matches with what you're looking for, right? Is that more or less what it is?
Something like that. It's similar to Tinder, where you swipe left and right, but the woman initiates the conversation.
Oh, sounds like some controlling stuff. Let's go deeper, Michelle. So, the guys who've hit you up so far, the people at home can't see you, but Michelle's cute, whatever. I don't want to talk about it too much. Okay. You're a good enough looking girl that you're not getting approached, right? So it's not like you're a hot commodity, let's put it that way. So if you're online, I imagine you put the best picture of yourself, which would make you an even hotter commodity. So what kind of dudes have come across your Bumble profile so far?
I honestly that's hard to describe. Bumble has a lot of white guys on there.
Oh boy. That's never good.
But there's all different kinds, and it's weird being in LA because half of them I think are actors or are interested in the industry in some sense. So
is that a deal breaker for you?
Well, a little bit, in the sense that I think that's their priority in a different way than other people who have different careers and are in different industries, because the entertainment industry is on a different time than like education, like that I work in.
Sure.
So, or regular business hours, you know, and part of their job is to just look good, and I'm always worried that they're not like real people. They're
That's
just
a real
like,
concern, yeah.
all a facade.
So you think, all right, so first of all, a lot of people who listen aren't in LA, so they don't get the fullness of that statement. But I get what you're saying. Like, I'm not an actor, so I'm not even going to like a lot of people. But I do comedy every month or so whenever I decide to get on stage. And the shows are like from 8 till, you know, it could be 2, 3 in the morning, whatever. And let's say you had a night off. Mm-hmm. And you were like, hey, I'm off Fridays. Like, oh, baby, I got a set at a comedy store. All right, cool. When are you getting on stage? Between 9 and 12. But when I'm over, baby, I'm coming over to see you. Like, that's the kind of stuff that
Right.
throws you.
Yeah. Stuff like that, or just, you know, or not having jobs consistently.
Sure.
Like, I mean, if you're going to be in a relationship with someone, you should be with them when they're successful, when they're not, or when there's, you know, some slow moments. So that's difficult too.
So I'm going to ask you this question because this is a question that girls don't want to really, they don't want to talk about. How much struggle are you willing to put in a relationship? Meaning, if the guy was in between work or gigs or jobs or what have you, how long are you willing to be in there before you're like?
I'm gonna just be honest and say I'm very impatient.
Okay.
It's just the truth. I mean, I'm with my really close friends and family, but those are people who we've already grown together. We've supported each other through a lot of stuff. So in those relationships, I got you. Like,
Right.
It doesn't matter, and I'll be supportive no matter what, and I'll be there for you. But with people that are new in my life, I have little patience.
So he's like, hey, I got an audition next week. Like, next week? I need you to have an audition tonight. It's like, I don't have one. I'm sorry, this isn't going to work out.
Okay, not in a week, but come on.
Well, I don't know. You said very impatient. Impatient already means you don't got no tolerance for nothing.
Well, maybe I guess if someone's not working, then maybe I wouldn't even talk to them. I don't know.
So what do you do for a living? All right, so here's the thing. The thing about my job is, you're like, okay, yeah, it's going to be a no. But you're cute, though, but it's going to be a no. I've mentioned this on previous podcasts, and I believe it to be true. Just the way I kind of live my life. I believe that most people are undateable. Like a majority of people, actually. At least 70% of people are undateable. Meaning that they may want to be with somebody, and maybe they have a look or whatever to be with somebody, but they're not, the whole package isn't together. Like, they have the look, but they have the insecurities, or they have the want, but not the finances, or, you know, that kind of thing. Or their standards don't match where they are.
Right.
And so it's like, I just want to, like, so you're an attractive, accomplished woman, but let's say you were a bum bitch, right? Those women exist. And I'm just saying, and if you get offended by this, you might be what I'm talking about. Let's say you're a woman who falls in the category. Bum bitches, they all over the place. They'll get you. But
I'm picturing people right now.
You know a few of them. It's like, hey, Duran, look at this bum bitch coming. Like, look at it. Hey, girl. Let's say you're a bum bitch and you in between jobs and you are like an Instagram whatever, but in real life you don't really have any. There's no substance to you. But you're like, I gotta have a man that lives in Beverly Hills. This. I'm like, hold up, you a bum bitch? How dare you?
Right. I can't stand that either.
How dare you make demands when you don't have a job?
Yeah, I can't stand that either. And trust me, I'm like always on like woman power and all that. That shit doesn't make sense to me at all.
Oh, it makes sense. Like everybody want to get, like I want some old lady to scoop me up and like a deuce and a quarter and drive me around town.
I wish it was that easy for me.
All right, so now I'm gonna say something that it's that easy if you wanted that to be what your life is, but that's not actually what you want from your life.
No, that's not what I want from my life.
Right.
I don't wanna...
So you can't say I want it to be that easy and then be like, all right, here it is. No, I don't want that anymore.
No, I'm saying I wish I had those intentions or desires for my life to be that easy.
Right. But the fact that you don't want your life to be easy, it phases between your dating life and then your real job life because you're ambitious at work and you want, I guess, an ambitious dude, and you're also ambitious about who you date. You're not going to just date some dude because he asked you to, right?
Yeah.
And so you have those standards. This is another question, and I don't believe this to be true, but I have to ask: do you think your expectations are unreasonable for someone you date, or maybe too lofty for somebody to attain? Right, like that gauntlet you want them to go through to get you.
No, I don't think so, but I think maybe for guys my age, so I'm only 26, gonna be 27 soon, and maybe I want someone who's more established, and I really haven't dated anyone too, like, a lot older than me. So
You want an old cat to pull
no,
up.
but I don't. I want someone to be. I want to like build something with my partner.
So it sounds like the traits you desire are more prevalent in old people, but you want a young guy who has them.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
You want a 27-year-old with the swag of a 42-year-old.
Or the confidence of and like the life lessons of someone who's older, someone who's like, because guys my age are insecure. I would say that they are. They're insecure.
Insecure. All right, go deeper. Elaborate on the insecurity. Give me an example of what you mean when you say that. I know what insecurity means, but
Like they don't know how to communicate. They don't necessarily know what they want either. In a lot of ways.
it sounds like you have a story attached to this. So let's go. Let's go with that. Let's go with whatever example you're citing in your head, because I assume you have one. Let's talk through that for a second, so people can know more or less the lames you talk to.
Okay. Well, what do you want me to share?
Whatever the last guy you were talking to your age who didn't communicate what he wanted well enough, or who was immature or insecure in your opinion. 'Cause you're not making a blanket statement. This isn't like conjecture. This is contextual. So
Right.
I don't know the context of the insecure guy.
Okay, well, my ex, who I knew in college, we were friends. We both graduated, stayed friends, went to grad school, and went our separate ways, but still kind of kept contact with each other. And we both, after like 3 years, ended up being in LA, and actually he's in San Diego. But we got together and started dating because we realized we both really cared about each other. But when I say he doesn't really know what he wants, we both stated at the beginning that we were going to make like a long distance, even though San Diego and LA are close, relationship work. And I think even with the communication of that, he didn't understand like what a commitment to a long distance relationship would mean, or he wasn't prepared to like make those changes, even though at the beginning when he was so excited, like it, he was willing to say those things or do those things, but he wasn't able to follow through.
Interesting. So you think that's an insecurity or immaturity thing, or?
I think part of it is an immaturity, because he's never been in a serious relationship before.
Have you?
Yeah, I was in a relationship before him. Yeah, that I would say is more serious.
Okay, so you had the experience of dating on your side,
Yeah.
and he didn't have that experience. So when you guys went into this agreement, you think his lack of experience is what actually led to your undoing? Obviously, there's other factors, right? The immaturity and all that stuff, but
Well, I also say immaturity because guys that I've dated, at least, are heavily influenced by their boys.
you got to have a crew with you.
Yeah, no, and I get that, but he was like, I remember one weekend we like had a great weekend. He posted like 3 pictures, which like doesn't make sense to me when I talk about it now, but he posted 3 pictures, and then his boys were commenting on the third one, oh, triple pose, like, what are you doing? He's whipped, he's like in over his head, blah, blah, blah. And so he's making adjustments, and I get why he would do that, but it's just, if you and I are good, why do you have to pretend that we're not, or like, why do you have to put up a front that
He was fronting
really
for his
feel?
homies to keep his credibility up. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and I feel like that's immature.
I would agree. Any of my friends listening to this podcast know that we gonna talk shit. That's just what we do. But real G's and real friends keep it moving, right? You take the tongue lash and you take it in stride, right? Man, you whip, whatever, dog. You just mad because you ain't got a girl like me. And then you just keep it moving. Now, if you start saying, nah, son, I'm going to hang out with y'all tonight and piss off my girlfriend, that's when I think that peer pressure kind of stuff ruins your relationship. And that is, one, a sign of maturity. And two, that's probably a sign of a lack of commitment, right? Because ultimately, I very much believe you should be able to keep your homies and your girl in the line. Like you shouldn't be like, I choose my girl over my boys and vice versa. If you're at that point, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Either with the girl or with your boys. But for a short term, when the guy first starts dating a new girl, any real homie knows that he'll probably like drift away a little bit to kind of like build that up with her. And then once they get to a more solid place, he'll kind of drift back to be like the homie he was, right? It's just like a natural thing. All his free time, we're not going to sit around and play video games. She wants to go do some stuff. Hey, man, we're going to brunch. Brunch, we playing videos. I know, man, but I gotta do the brunch
It's the same with
thing.
girls too, though.
Is it? I don't know. I'm not a girl.
I
I'm
think
single.
you end up finding a balance after some time too.
I can only speak from the guy's perspective. So I'm happy you're here. I like to have your input to kind of balance it out. All right. So how did things end with the ex? Because I think the people are wondering.
So we broke up after maybe close to a year, probably, of dating.
You did. So was it good for most of the year, or was it rocky for?
It was good, but because he works in collegiate sports, he's a coach. His schedule was off of my schedule. He was always traveling, and we were already doing long distance. So I think that added more pressure to us. And
Sure.
Our inability to see each other and then really make more meaningful connections and time to see each other was just difficult. We're still friends.
Is it awkward?
It's not, it wasn't awkward until we hooked up again. It was completely fine until we hooked up again, and now I don't want to hang out with him.
Oh. Because you don't want to hook up with him again.
Because I don't want to hook up with him again.
That's probably a smart idea.
Because I don't do that. So
what happened the time you did?
it was good. It was fun.
Was alcohol in the picture?
Yeah, alcohol's always in the picture there.
Guys, you can't be around your ex while you're drinking. That's PSA, people. It's gonna go sideways. Book it.
It's true.
Just
It's
book
so
it.
true.
All those. He'll never see me like this, and I look all good, and he's gonna miss out. And then you start drinking, you're like, oh yeah, he is cute. He is kind of funny. Okay, you coming upstairs? I guess I can come upstairs. It's a mistake. Don't do it. I don't drink, so if I relapse, it was a conscious decision. I don't have an excuse.
Right.
Like, dude, what happened? The ginger ale, dog. It got me.
It
I don't
was
know.
the water.
I don't know what they put in this shit. The Dasani? This ain't even real water. I don't know. It's all right. So I'm gonna ask this question because I know you a little bit, and I don't know the answer to this question, but I think I have a suspicion. Have you ever been in your adult life? So let's say from 20 to now, 26. Have you ever been dumped, or are you always the person to dump the person you're with?
No, I've never been dumped.
Okay. Why?
I guess even when I was younger, before that.
So, why is it that you always end up dumping the person you're with?
I think part of that is just me protecting myself, and part of it is because I don't want to be in a relationship if I don't see it progressing to something long term or permanent, in the form of marriage.
So what are you protecting yourself from? Because that talk is usually reserved for somebody who's been hurt before, but you said you've never really been dumped. So what are you protecting yourself from?
Well, I've been disrespected, and so I don't want to feel that disrespect on a larger scale with someone who I've been intimate with. I don't, I've never been cheated on, but if I don't trust someone, or if I don't see it being a person that I want to be with for the rest of my life, then I just feel it's just a waste of my time.
So that makes sense now at 26 and with a career. When you were 16, 17, you're dating and you were breaking up with people, the long-term thing couldn't have been the thing driving you because you were still a kid. So what was it then? Was it just, I'm going to dump him before he dumps me? Is that? Is that too simple, or is that like
No,
more
I think that's probably it. Like especially
Mm.
in high school for sure.
It's like
In high school.
hey, Michelle, can we talk later? Where it's over. You fucking dump and run away.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at things almost like like relationships almost like projects or like
That's attractive, I gotta tell you.
that's attractive?
No, I'm being facetious.
That is awful.
Yes, I agree, but I can't be like, damn, girl, you fucking up. Not yet. We're still easing into the podcast. See, this is my theory, and this is based in some knowing you a little bit, is that the biggest thing that drives you in relationships, not even the biggest thing, is that one of the main factors is you're being in control. I think you're a control freak on a level. You're not the worst I've seen. I've seen some impressive ones. You're up there. Like you definitely have like your natural disposition is more reserved, which is control of your emotions. Your relationships you kind of cut off. Like I think there's a thing. Even at work, I'm sure like you dress in the most almost Amish like attire at work.
You've seen me come in here before I change.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to sound insightful right now. Don't tell people. Ruining my house. So I think that's, but it all kind of goes to the same thing. Is that like if you're not in control, then you're not happy, or maybe you just feel that level of vulnerability you're not really equipped to handle. So what I'm really trying to get to is what is it that you're trying to keep control of? Is it how other people will treat you, or is it how you will react to being out of control for a prolonged period of time?
I don't know. I don't know if it's either or. It might be both. I definitely like being in control of things. But over time, I've learned to let competent people or people who are really good in control to take control of things. So I think I just need to be able to trust. I mean, I'm thinking work right now. Like, trust other people to handle whatever business or meeting or anything that we have set, if they're competent and I trust them in their work. In a relationship, I'm not sure. I would say it's just me afraid of losing control, if I'm really honest. I think I'm just a
I appreciate
control
you
freak.
for now being really honest. I guess the rest of the time she was also. I wasn't honest before, but let's just get really honest for a second, because I think, because I want to get to the crux of it, because I still feel like we're talking around it a little bit,
Okay.
and so we'll even go deeper. What is it that you think would happen if you lost control, right? Because there has to be some doomsday scenario in your brain, like if I just like let go and just kind of set it all free and and just let it ride, that X, Y, and Z would happen, and maybe I won't be able to come back from it. So what is it that's like, you have a governor in your relationship that's inhibiting what your full capacity can be? What is it that's making you say this is the right course of action to take? This is not a new phenomenon. You didn't just develop this after this guy from San Diego. You said this has kind of been who you are. So
I don't know. I think I'm also governed by like the thought of how people think of me too, and my family and friends, or just people in general, and the type of person I should be with or would be best for me. And
how do you think people think of you? I'm trying to.
well, I mean, like when I'm talking to my mom, for example, which
Okay.
maybe is not the best example, but she she has, like these ideas of what the person I should be with should do or should look like. And, she's been accepting of like all of the guys that I've introduced to her.
The squad of guys.
Which are not a lot.
The
Which
squad
are
of
not a
dudes.
lot.
I know it's another guy, Mom. It's Tuesday. Get over it.
Sometimes I do share some, like, just the funny dating and just the funny interactions with guys, and she's always just, now she's just, like, laughing at me at this point.
It's because she's older now and her standards have dropped a little bit. 2 years ago, she's like, you better not bring him home.
Unfortunately.
That happens with parents. They get old and they stop caring. All right, you can bring that guy home. Yes.
I lost my train of thought.
That's what happens. You start giggling in podcasts, you get thrown off. You're saying your mom has standards for who she thinks you should be with and what he should do, and you've brought guys home, and I guess she's not accepting of all of them, or.
Well, she's been nice, but I think she just is waiting for somebody that I actually really like or that I love, and maybe I really just haven't met anyone like that.
That's fair. You're not old. I mean,
no, I'm not, but I feel like I'm old.
You have an old soul, and I think you.
I feel old. I feel like I should be in a meaningful relationship by now.
Is that based on where you are in your career? You feel like your relationship should match your career?
Yeah, you're probably right on that one.
Thank you. I got one. Ding.
You're probably right on that
20
one.
minutes into the podcast, I finally got one. I feel winning, baby. You can. It's a hell of a hit percentage.
1 for you, 0 for me, so that's good.
No, we're all winning right now because you're talking through something. I don't think most people think, I think you to be an intellectual on some level, right? I know you're a deep thinker, at least to a certain degree. But when it comes to, introspection, there tends to be a limit. You'll think, all right, what happened in this past relationship? What could I have done differently? Blah, blah, blah. And then at some point, it'll be more like, what I do wrong and what can I do better going forward? And then we kind of move on. But I think there's usually more to get to, but maybe it's painful or just uncomfortable. And if you don't like pain in relationships, I doubt you like emotional pain in general. And so the idea of, I'm going to go really deep to the recesses of my soul and psyche and try to glean some kind of truth in there, I think that's unbecoming of what you are. Yes. And so I think I'm asking you these questions because I know that you won't ask yourself these questions. And I'm hoping that now that the light's been shined in the dark, it's like, oh, shit, I got to talk about what's in there.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Well, listen, this is what I do for the people. But we still ain't get to the issue. Because you still haven't given me that doomsday thing. Are you afraid that you're going to be with someone and marry someone that your family and friends don't accept?
I don't know. I think if I ever got to a place with someone where we were together and engaged and married, that they would have already passed that kind of test with my friends and family.
It's a nice assumption. I hope that's true. There are some people who marry right now and say, I'm not going to your mom's house, never. I say, but I love you, though. Because we still haven't gotten to, what the trigger is. Right? You're telling me you're giving me the symptoms, but you're not giving me the disease.
Well, I don't know.
Well, that's what we're working on it. Damn it. We're not done yet.
Okay, good.
Because I'm trying to figure out, maybe I may not be asking the right question or the right way to try to get to that answer, but that's what my pursuit is. Because if we can find out what the cause of the disease is, then maybe we can work on. Now, you may find out what that cause is and just not give a fuck and be like, this is my life going forward.
Yeah.
But because you're a thinking person, I think if you found, I didn't realize that's what was holding me back, you would adjust on some level within margins. People tend to act on the margins. You're not going to go from cool, calm, and collected Michelle to, I'm out in these streets, baby, what it do? I thought you didn't get to that point. But the truest version, maybe the most advantageous version of yourself is probably a little less of what you are now, more towards the middle, because you're on the fringes of terms of conservativeness, I guess. So maybe if you were slightly less in control, then you can allow someone to actually impress you enough to be worthy enough to hold your hand and you bring home, Mom, this is Jake. It's like, how are you? Kisses her hand, brings her a rose, whatever.
Oh my God, that's so awkward because my brother's name is Jake. So.
That's super awkward. I didn't even know that. That's how good I am on this podcast that I got even names right. I was watching Scandal and
I love that show.
It's a tremendous show, and I'm super sad it's gonna be the last season, but whatever.
I know, but she's good in that.
She goes hard in the paint. I like Carrie. That's my girl. Shout out to Shonda Rhimes. If she ever hears this, put me on your next show. I know you got 9 in the works.
She should put you in one of her shows.
That's what I've been saying ever since I saw Grey's Anatomy. I'm like, man, I could be a doctor. You put me in there, I throw the coat on right now. I throw the coat on right now.
I can see. No, I don't know about doctor. Maybe like.
I think it was murder. That could have been.
Well, you got to get right with Netflix now.
You're right. I got to figure it out. But we still are off topic, so we got to get back. So you're good at, you're very evasive.
I'm good at not talking about
Yeah, see?
my feelings.
I know you're not. We got the record on the podcast. That's not what you're about. So I'm gonna go back to the scenario. All right, let's go through this thought experiment, because maybe this will get us to the right place. Let's say, give me the typical trajectory of your relationship so far. You've been in, let's say you've been in 2 or 3 significant relationships.
Mm-hmm.
How have the interaction between you and a guy? Like, kind of walk me through how they've gone and then kind of how they ended. You don't have to go into details. Like, you can be like, how'd you meet? Like, who initiated? And then even the ebb and flow. Like, was he like a manly man, or were you kind of in control, or was he like submissive? Like, the relationship dynamics. So we can kind of like...
So the last 2 guys, like my last 2 exes, one was more in control, and I actually felt like uncomfortable in some moments because he would not like bend to some of the things that like I wanted him to do or wanted us to do. That could be just like a small thing with like dinner or something, which obviously I'm not that uncomfortable with. That's fine. Or something more like, you know, opening up, talking about our feelings and progressing emotionally.
But it's something you don't want to do anyway.
Yeah, but in a relationship, that's important.
Even though you don't want to do it.
Even though I don't want to do it. We both need to do it. So, he wouldn't bend on a lot of the things that, like, I felt were more important, or just me saying it. And then the other relationship, he was actually so submissive that it drove me crazy. Like, it's the reason why I broke up, because I felt like he literally would have done anything.
So hard, please.
So, yeah, it's difficult, right? Like, I also want my partner to be, like, assertive and know who he is,
right,
and confident, but then I also need to be in control. What is that?
Now the truth comes out. I let you go because I wanted you to hear the words come out your mouth and the scowl on the faces of America as you're talking like, I don't know if I like Michelle anymore.
Damn, that's okay.
But I needed you to talk through it because I need you to hear the absurdity kind of in it. Because that's what is lost. It seems like when we started this by saying, what's your checklist? And you're like, yeah, I'm not asking too much, this and that. And as we start talking through it, it's like, yeah, I want you to be mostly submissive so I'm in control, but still be a man sometimes. And I really like when you're a man, but only about the things that I really don't want to be in control about anyway. and then you start getting into like the minutia of what it is. And it's like, I didn't realize it was that. You have a disease. All right, let's just call it what it is.
Oh, you finally diagnosed it.
It took us some time to get there.
I already knew.
I didn't know it was this far gone. I thought you were in the first. I thought it was like level 1, but I'm gonna need to quarantine you and cancel my 4 o'clock because this guy has gotten real. But all right, so now we're getting some level of truth. All right, there's, and this is my basic belief. I haven't gotten into this on the podcast, but I will one day, about how I believe. I categorize women on some level based on how you should approach them if you wanted to date them. And all the guys I talk to know about this. I don't want to get into it too much right now, but dominant women tend to be controlling women as well, right? And so the way to typically attract a controlling woman is to also be what she is, but like an advanced version of that. But what that does is, one, it puts them kind of like in a submissive place, but it is not necessarily a long-term thing because they're constantly trying to vie for the position that I guess you have as the more dominant person. And so what happens is it gets actually kind of combative. But at some point, someone has to relinquish, or else you guys don't have anything.
Right.
And what you don't want to do is be a guy that comes at you, like I guess your ex or ex before the ex, who's just like, who puts you on a pedestal so high, because on some level that feels good because you're very much in control. You run the show. But I don't think women always want to be in control. And I actually think most women actually don't want to be. They want to do what they do and not feel like they're being infringed on by their guy.
Right.
But they like a guy saying, hey, I made us reservations at this restaurant. And it's like, oh, thank you for taking the initiative and doing that. Instead of,
that's nice.
Babe, where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to eat? I don't know. And it's like...
Anywhere you want. No.
Right. It's like, hey, we're going to the spot or whatever. And it's like, you don't want to feel like they're like your boss, but you do want to feel like they're driving the ship or they're flying the plane,
Yeah.
and you're their co-pilot. You're right there next to him. But if he's like, "Hey, you think we can make it through these clouds? I don't think we can make this." Like, oh, this guy doesn't know where he's going. sit over here. I'm taking over this shit. You don't want that.
Yeah, no, I don't want that.
But I think part of you does want that, and that's the problem. That's the issue. Like there's a dichotomy between you and I want the guy to fly a plane and me to be his co-pilot, but I also want top billing and I want to be the pilot. so you have to compromise one of those two. And this is where we get to the crux of your personality is one of those is going to win out because they can't coexist. And as long right now you being a pilot is what's won out if those two entities are fighting. But I don't think you've ever allowed yourself to be a co-pilot. That could be for a number of reasons. One, you may not have met a guy worthy of being a pilot,
Yeah.
where you feel good enough about being a co-pilot. That can be very easily. You're 26 right now, so it could also be when you met someone who could be a pilot. It was that to your pilot instincts were like, no, fuck that, I'm gonna be the pilot, and it was like, and it went the other way.
I think that's usually my reaction.
Well, it could be, it could be, and so going forward, your house is divided, right? Like your internal house. And I think it's a biblical verse. I'm not even sure what the verses are, but it's like a house divided can't stand, right? Because it's fractured from the inside. So if you're fractured in terms of your psyche about how you want a guy to be in your life and how your relationship is going to go, then your relationships are destined to fail because you're always fighting yourself. You want that person to be all in and mature and committed and yada, yada, yada. When within yourself, you're not all those things. And that's where we kind of get into some fun shit.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I was hoping for more.
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, but it also happens like people are not so simple. People are complex
Sure.
and always evolving, and I just feel like
I'm gonna pause you. How have you evolved in terms of your own individual emotional? I think emotional vulnerability is the number one impediment to your relationships, theirs or yours, and
Yeah.
maybe a combination of 2
Mm-hmm.
So emotionally, how have you evolved from 21 to now? Because those are really big development years. Like you got out of college initially, you went to grad school, but let's say from entering college to out of college, let's say 18 to 26.
yeah.
How have you evolved emotionally?
Emotionally, I would say I'm still really guarded and protected. I only share with like my really close friends and family
In America.
in America. and like it takes me a while to be really open and honest with my deepest like fears and vulnerabilities.
I still know your deepest fears. I feel like we haven't gotten to that part yet. I know the lack of vulnerability. Is that your fear? That you're going to be seen as vulnerable and that somebody's going to hurt you?
I mean, I don't want to be hurt. I don't think anyone wants to be hurt.
No.
But probably like that, my deepest fear in general or in relationships.
We'll go relationships. I think that's where the meat of this discussion is going.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Wouldn't it be so scary to like commit in a relationship and then you just like wake up and you're completely unhappy? Like and that seems like a movie. Like that's what happens in a movie.
sure, I was gonna say that sounds not as undoable,
Like-
but also I feel like for
I
you to
mean,
get to that point,
You have to
that's
sleepwalk through your life. I mean, that's not really how I am. But so maybe it's an irrational fear, but just
that's what we're getting to.
Yeah,
The reason-
but
yeah.
just to, or like I would hate to be cheated on, but I've never been cheated on. I feel like the first fear, like I was saying, just to realize that you're not happy.
I ask you now: are you happy now with your relationships?
With my
Relationships. I know you're happy with your work on some level. You're always striving to do more, but this is where I fall on this, and I guess maybe this can guide you a little bit. I think generally guys are less vulnerable, and women's pursuit is to make them more vulnerable because the more vulnerable you are, it leads to deeper connection.
Yeah.
Connection is the lifeblood of how we live as
Yeah.
humans. It's what we strive for. That's why you're friends and family, and like someone can be your best friend if they can't say something that really like fucks you up. If your best friend doesn't know anything about you, that's not your best friend.
Yeah.
That's somebody you just roll with. Your best friend, knows your ins and outs. They know how to make you happy, this and that, this and that. And that's because they've seen you at your best and your worst. If somebody's seen you throwing up and drunk in the backseat of a car and nurse you back to health, that's I guess physically as low as it kind of gets at a certain point. But if someone only sees you as a teacher or sees you as like a professional person, they don't know that side of you. So they put you on a pedestal on that level, but they don't know the depth of who you are. So emotionally, if you don't allow yourself to be really vulnerable, then you never really allow yourself to connect to somebody. And I think that connection is the worst double-edged sword. Because that connection means you can build a bond that is the most amazing thing in the world. You guys fly and you become whatever power couple you want to be.
Right.
But just like a good friend or a good family member, that person has the power to hurt you. And if you're not willing to relinquish that level of control to roll that emotional dice, then you'll never really build anything with anybody. And you'll always be, essentially, you have a wall in front of your heart. And it makes it really hard for people to get in, but it really makes it hard for you to get out too.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's the balance. Is you run the risk of being hurt, but if you never you say you've been in love before, and even to that end, I'm questioning that on some level because of how lack of emotional you tend to want to be, right? So I think you may have loved aspects of the person you've been with, maybe even loved the fact that you guys were a good couple on some level, but I don't know if you loved deep enough to really like claim that love. And I don't know any of your exes, so this is not like I talked to Jake, he said. But I don't know any of your exes, but I know when you hit that point where you feel safe being in that vulnerable state with somebody, it's a different feeling that you can't really, touch. I don't know if it's like the chemicals, the oxytocins and all that good shit. I don't know if it's all that part of it, or if it's just like the comfort of, you're going to see me with my makeup off. You're going to see me with my hair down. You're going to see me struggling. You're going to see me cry, and I'm not going to like shield my face from you or run to the other room. Mm-hmm. Like that's missing, and because you haven't gotten to that point yet, it's hard to know what that would feel like. Maybe the fear is that you'll feel that and then it won't be enough for you, or you won't like it or something.
I just haven't trusted anyone enough to get there with them. I think that's a big thing. Like, I mean, I have really deep and close friendships, like with my girlfriends, and even with my brother.
Right.
Like we're actually really close. He's like one of my closest friends, but like in a relationship, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not willing to go there with anyone.
I mean, I think history has shown that you're not.
Yeah.
So that's not. I don't care about, I guess, that part of it. That's not really the question. The question is, would the benefits outweigh the costs? Everything to me is a cost-benefit analysis on some level, right? Do I go to grad school and pay this much money, get in debt to come out and make nothing? Like, you wouldn't go to grad school and come out and be like a police officer, because the amount that it doesn't pay its health. But you will go to medical school, rack up thousands of dollars in debt, and then when you come out, you'll be making this much money.
Right.
This relational thing, I think you care more about being in control than you do about being in a good relationship. And those are the two things that are battling. When you're ready to be in a good relationship, I think you'll have to like look in the mirror and say, let's say 6 months into it, you've met a guy, you guys have been talking or whatever, and up to that point, he hasn't betrayed anything. He hasn't done anything to make you feel like, I can't trust this guy. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, you have to make a decision. And it's an intrinsic one. You don't have to say, all right, you're going to be the guy I decide to love. Just don't be weird about it. Say, what the fuck is this bitch great? But it's going to be a decision you have to make where normally you stop yourself. It's like that little end of the road. And you just say, I'm taking the next step. And it's going to be small. It won't be like, you won't confess your soul to him, but you'll take a small step. And then if you're not betrayed again, you take another step. And then the next thing you know, you're on a path you haven't traveled before. And then, who knows, you may only get 20 steps in that path before you get hurt, but you've gone 20 steps further than you went before. And now you've like, okay, wow, I actually like let a guy, like I know girls who don't let guys spend the night, ever. Mm-hmm. They're like, I'll go to your house and I'm getting up and leaving, and that's the way it always is. And the guy's like, can I come over? Nope, I'll allow guys in my house, and that's the thing, that's the control thing. And then the one time that it's like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow night? You want to come over for like dinner? Even if he doesn't spend the night, the fact that you just let him come over to the house is like that first step into that vulnerable state. Yeah. And then maybe he says, hey, next time I'll cook for you at your place. Just tell me what you want, I'll pick up the groceries. Like, okay, cool. Then a few more times, it's like, you watching a movie and it's midnight and it's like, damn, it's getting late. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, you want to just, you can crash here if you want. And then you just keep going. Now, who knows where that goes? It can go a number of different ways and go really poorly for you. But it's little steps. And my call to action for you is be open to the little steps. I think you're thinking of the end game where it can go wrong, because it can obviously go wrong.
Yeah.
But this the process of most things is what makes it. Every relationship ends with a breakup or death, right? If you really want to like get fatalistic about it, right?
True.
That's the
True.
truth of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think, man, I love this person so much, I just want to live with you. Oh wait, one of us is gonna die at some point, right? Like if you thought it that way, there'd be no point in ever being in a relationship, because.
Yeah.
But that journey of being together and that life you weave and you live is what makes it worthwhile. And so just like the process of becoming vulnerable and getting close to someone, that's what the relationship is, not the, oh, we broke up thing.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I'm so goal oriented, and I see the benefit of the process when I reach my goal. Like, but I hear what you're saying. Like I
want
need
retroactive
to, like, yeah,
fun.
exactly. Like I see the benefit of the process if we actually meet like what we intended to meet.
So let me ask you this: how can you reach your goal relationally if you don't even engage in the process? How can you reach your goal in relationships?
No, I can't. I mean, I can't. And eventually, like you're saying, I will have to be vulnerable and give up some control. I mean, I need to be able to trust that someone's not gonna fuck me over and
listen.
break my heart, or that people, deserve to know who I am and in my entirety instead of this nice little
facade.
whatever, protected gate.
You know what's funny is that the thing you don't want in a actor or someone who's in the industry is actually how you kind of live your life relationally.
Yeah.
And the hypocrisy in that is ironic and beautiful. It should be a movie.
Wow, thanks for highlighting that.
This is what we're here for.
Ouch.
It has to hurt because people don't change until I have a theory on change, and I've said this in the podcast before. I don't think people change until they hit some level of rock bottom. And it's because we're disposed to go with the status quo. Homeostasis is what our body leans for, and the status quo is what we mostly go for. You're an anomaly because you're aspiring for more in most aspects of your life. Yet somehow in your relationships, you've allowed that to not want to advance while you're advancing the other part of your life, which in and of itself is incompatible with what your personality normally dictates.
Yeah, and it's irritating me.
But not enough. That's the problem. You haven't hit relational rock bottom yet, and so you haven't changed. You've had, this is going well for a little bit. Well, it's probably going to break up anyway, and so you just break up and keep moving. He probably wasn't the right guy for me. Oh, this is going really well. Nah, it wasn't going to work out. And so
you weren't the right guys for me.
Listen, that may be true, but doesn't mean you acted correctly in what you did.
Yeah,
it didn't.
Maybe.
It didn't end well. But,
no, it didn't.
Right. But what I'm saying is, I believe in being consistent and compatible with what you say. So if you're a woman that says, I want to be respected, let's say that's your premise of life. I want to be respected. But you're with a guy who doesn't respect you. Something has to change. Either you don't really want to be respected, or you got to change that relationship with the guy.
Yeah.
If you want to evolve what you speak about, if you want to grow what you speak about, if you want to aspire for more, and then on this level you've done none of those three things, and this is maybe the most significant part of what your life is.
Yeah.
Then the incompatibility is stark, and we have to figure out. From what I can tell, you haven't hit a low enough low relationally. Like you're not sad enough, or you haven't been hurt enough, or it hasn't hit that level where you feel like, okay, my way is not working. I think you're still stubborn enough to think you can do what you do and find a guy you're looking for. That's what I think this is.
I think you're right. But I mean, what would I change? Like, what dating habits would I change, or what?
It may not even be the habit. You know what it is? You know at Alcoholics Anonymous, the first thing you have to admit you have a problem?
Yeah.
Can you, in front of the millions and millions of the podcast fans, admit that you have a control problem and that you have a vulnerability problem?
I will say I have a vulnerability problem. I'm not gonna say I have a control problem.
Right, the irony is dripping off of the mic right now. This is like a peach. It'll be like running down Janice.
I just had one of those today. They were good.
I bet. I'm having one right now on this podcast. I'm having an emotional peach.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'll throw you an olive branch. Can you admit you have a control issue in regards to relationships? Maybe not in life.
yeah.
I gotta hear the words.
What? Yeah, I gotta say it?
You have to say
Dang,
it.
you're killing me.
I am.
Okay, I got a control problem in relationships.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, that was hard.
I never pulled a tooth before out of a baby,
Jeez.
but I feel like if you had to pull a tooth, sit still. I'm gonna get the. I feel like
That was hard.
it was hard.
Yeah.
So you said what steps you have to take? You just took a step, or two. I guess you said two phrases. You took 2 steps, and so now that you've acknowledged that point, it's not a problem if there's no solution for it, right? So the solution is, all right, in what areas am I too controlling? So maybe I'm not willing to be vulnerable enough. So it's little steps, it's little things. Like I don't know some aspects of your life because we're not that close to that level, but when you're with someone and they're like kind of they're doing everything right, they're doing their part. The guy you're with is yada yada yada. It's just if you're thinking, should I tell him this or would that be too much? Just say, I'm just gonna tell him, and see what he does with it. Now he may be like, oh, you may be like, oh damn it, I told him and it hurt me, but you'll find that what you now have is context, and so I'm gonna relate this to your previous relationship. You had a relationship that was long before, with your ex or before the ex, and then when you guys tried the long distance thing, he didn't have that background, so he had no experience, he had no context for it.
Right.
So when push came to shove, he had nothing to fall back on. He was like immature or whatever. You knew, I've been in relationships before. I know the ebbs and flows of them. I know how this goes. You can't know how to react in vulnerable situations until you do them. And that means at some point it's going to go well and at some point it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
It really just depends on how deep the vulnerability is. So you have to just get acquainted with the feeling of putting it out there. It's like a tweet. To make it even more cute, you put a tweet out, let's say it's kind of controversial tweet. I believe women should be da-da-da. You put it out there. You don't know how it's going to be received, right? But if you got just torrential backlash, it's like, just like that pro woman, and you're like, okay, cool. You may either, one, not tweet ever again, or two, just double down and keep tweeting.
Yeah.
Right? You really do have those 2 options. Some people just say, so you may be vulnerable. Then the guy may not respond the way you want him to. Mm-hmm. You can say, okay, fuck it, I'm done being vulnerable. Never again. Or, damn, that hurt. And then like a day or 2 goes by and you're like, but I'm all right. Okay. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And then you try it again and maybe you're rewarded next time. And then you kind of go from there. And hopefully people tend to be vulnerable as a mirroring kind of thing. So you will say something vulnerable to me and then I reciprocate. And then you feel connected to me because I'm being vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And then that thing so you're asking these guys you dated to be vulnerable, but you didn't want to be vulnerable, which is ridiculous. But but if you're vulnerable,
I'm vulnerable with
sure you
things
were.
that I don't know.
Things that you can control, things up to a point, things that couldn't hurt you. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not how vulnerability works. But that's not how it works. But
it worked then.
did it? Because you're single now, so let's just be hunted by it. And so you say something vulnerable, and then they reciprocate, and then that's that reciprocity is what makes relationships really grow and become something special. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of go back and forth, and at a certain point, maybe he'll stop confiding, he'll kind of lock down and kind of stonewall, and then maybe you do the same. But you built up all that vulnerable equity, and then it may implode or maybe something really good. But those are the steps that you have to take. You made the first 2 steps. Now I'm gonna give you a high five because I'm proud of you.
Ooh,
It was really hard to get that control out. That was like y'all couldn't see her face. It like she had eaten like 11 lemons. Like I ain't got control.
But really though.
Like it looked brutal. Like if I took a picture and said tag this, they'd be like, damn, what she eat? Nothing. She had to eat her words. It was bad.
Exactly. Even worse than lemons, for sure.
Lemons are delicious. I'm a fan. But I think we got some stuff we can work on going forward. Do you have any questions or comments before I let you go leave this room and go take a cold shower because you feel disgusting after being this vulnerable to all these people you don't know?
No, thank you. Thank you for helping me figure out, the change that I need to make in the future. With the
You can start making it
relationships.
now.
Well, I'm not in a relationship now,
Right.
but
I mean, but
maybe we'll find Mr. Right soon.
Sure, but the changes start with you, though.
Yeah,
like, the
exactly.
first steps were you admitting in front of all the millions of the podcast listeners what you're going through. And it's like, and it was hard. Your body language closed up. You folded your arms. You stopped moving. We're
We're still doing this. Oh, yeah. I'm still rocking.
Okay, yeah, now you are.
I'm
But
still
now when you
rocking.
said it, you were like, I gotta say it. But you got it out. And so I'm proud of you for taking this first step.
Hey, thanks.
Now, at the very least, you made a vulnerable step. I don't know how many more you're going to take going forward. I guess it's predicated on the guys you meet. But you've taken the first step. Not that the world didn't end. I didn't laugh at you. The millions of fans didn't laugh at you. I'm going to just keep saying millions of fans until I get them. This is
It's
putting
going to happen, trust me.
I'm putting them in the universe right now. The millions and millions. But the world didn't end. Like, it was uncomfortable. But then now you have a deeper understanding of yourself a little bit. And it's like, all right, now what can I do in that uncomfortable state? And that's grow and be a better version of myself. I don't want to see 27-year-old Michelle juxtaposed with this 26 version, and y'all are the same person. Oh my God, you still wearing those pants? I don't want that. So if we do this again in life, let's say a few months from now, I want to hear about some growth, and then people want to hear about it too.
Yeah, and you will.
All right,
I'm about
that's
that.
that's a declaration. I'm about that vulnerable life. I'm about that
And
V
about
life.
that growth.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't grow without. Okay, it's all the same stuff. It's semantics. I'm about that V life. You say grow, but it's just cool to put up a V. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been an enlightening podcast with my girl Michelle. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit me up on social media at Sexy Comedy on Instagram and Twitter as well, and Facebook at Chris Kane. If you have any questions, inbox me, DM me, and maybe I'll answer them on the show. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good week. Deuces.